Hey guys, Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast. You're about to listen to a little bit of our primetime podcast that we recorded this week. Make sure to go to Blog Talk Radio / Most Valuable Podcast for our full-length podcast that you can go ahead and download. I hope you enjoy it. I know me and Brandon did recording it.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And we are back this week for another edition of the Primetime Podcast here on Most Valuable Podcast. If you're on YouTube, hello. It is great to see your faces yet again. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you guys for giving us the download and the listen today. And Brandon, guess what week it is? Well, it's not a week for us, but it's a week of all of football. This is kind of like we're giving our graduating class to the onside kick this week. It's draft week. Draft week is finally here.
It is, and kind of came up, snuck up on us pretty quickly, actually. But lot going on for the NFL draft.
And if you guys know what that means it is time for the Primetime Podcast's annual draft week segment. We're going to be looking at the draft. DeShone Kizer gave us a little bit of a gift, Brandon. So we're going to look at what DeShone Kizer said in today's podcast. We're going to look at Notre Dame. They're going to be without Kizer. They're going to be without Malik Zaire this year. Can Brandon Wimbush be the guy to turn the Fighting Irish around? And then we're going to end the podcast with another quarterback. We're going to look at Jacob Eason and the Georgia Bulldogs. And is he primed for a great 2017, a breakout 2017 season? But Brandon, we are first going to focus on the draft. Mr. DeShone Kizer, and he kind of said something. And what he said earlier this week was, and I'm quoting here, imagine taking Brady's intellect and putting it on a guy with Cam Newton's body. Why can't I be the greatest? The only thing stopping me from it is me. Brandon, I'm going to ask you this. Him saying that he's basically got the intellect of Tom Brady and the body of Cam Newton, what does this say about DeShone Kizer's personality coming into the draft?
Well, he certainly thinks a lot of himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I think is that something like that you can certainly believe, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with thinking that. But keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I would tell my inner circle, because we know how inner circles can work sometimes, especially in situations like this. Yeah, it can get out. But I think that he doesn't do himself any favors, and he didn't do himself any favors by saying this.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at some of the most successful quarterbacks in the league. Well, one of them's no longer in the league. You've got Tom Brady, and you've got Peyton Manning. Now, were they known for all the big comments they made after each game? Were they known for spouting their mouth off and stuff like that? No, they weren't. And they were the most successful. They just go about their business. They win. And that's all they need. This does not help you. You're not in the NFL yet. You were projected as a possible first-round quarterback, as some would say the number 2 quarterback in the draft. And some would say that maybe you were going to go 13th to the Arizona Cardinals. But I think that this comes out, and then you have an AFC head coach that says he has diva quality, so much talent, but diva qualities... That's not necessarily what a team wants. Team doesn't want a distraction. A team wants a talent. And I think that that's huge. So him opening up his mouth and talking like this does him no favors.
And I'm kind of on the fence with this. And the reason why I'm on the fence is the Cam Newton, the second part of the statement, saying on Cam Newton's body, that is the concrete evidence, because that is what we know he has. Cam Newton coming out looking at his draft profile, 6'5", 248. DeShone Kizer, 6'4", 233. So a little bit less on the weight department, but the height's pretty much there. Newton's got only an inch on him. When it comes to arm length, they're both 33. Newton might have a little bit longer by like a fraction of an inch, and they both got the same size hands at 9 7/8 inch on the hand. And the first part, though, is what gets me. The Tom Brady's intellect. Whenever you start comparing yourself to the greatest, and I'm going to say Tom Brady's the greatest, kind of like how in the NBA, Michael Jordan was the greatest. And there's only been one player in the history of the NBA so far that has lived up to Michael Jordan the closest, and that's LeBron James. The only player. Everyone else, you could come out and say, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan. You've fallen flat on your face because no one's coming close. That's the part that gets me. Maybe I wouldn't have said that part. I would have just said, hey, take the body of Cam Newton. I'm a really smart guy. One of those things. You don't have to compare, because on the side of it, I want to say I like the cockiness. I like my quarterback to be a little cocky. However, I'm leaning more towards on the other side when your old former coach in college has questioned your maturity, says that, you know what, if he finds the right situation and gets to sit, that might help out the maturity of him. I look at these comments and part of me wants to say, yeah, this is just him being cocky. And you know what? You got to have that from your quarterback, that I am going to put it all on me. I'm going to do it. However, I lean more towards the other side. Maybe this is showing a little bit of DeShone Kizer's immaturity that Brian Kelly had talked about.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all, because you can totally, like I said, you can absolutely think something about yourself. What is so important about putting that out there for everyone to hear, for everyone to see? Scouts are listening and watching. Coaches are listening and watching. Fans are listening and watching. Other players are listening and watching. Cam Newton is listening and watching. Tom Brady is too. Why is that so important that you needed to say that you felt so confident about that you needed to say that to the world? That's a dumb move. That's a bad move.
There was
no
a
one
million
talked to
ways
him, obviously.
He could have said that, but would have been better.
He obviously doesn't have anyone who's coaching him. And if he does, I'd fire them. That's bad. That's a bad move. And you're young. You are young. I get that. You're 21 years old. But come on, man. You gotta think. That's not something that you want to be saying going into draft week, where you're trying to get a job and get money and go to hopefully a decent team and be starting off with a clean slate and have an opportunity to make a difference and make a name for yourself. And this is what you do. And this is what you do. It's a bad move. It's a bad move. Because, again, I point out the best quarterbacks in the league really just go about doing their business. I mean,
never heard this out of Tom.
No.
The guy you compared yourself to, never heard this out of him. Never heard this out of Tom Brady. Tom Brady just goes to the facility, does his job, goes home. Peyton Manning, another great that we have seen, comes to the facility, first in, last to leave, does his job, goes home. Another person that I would say, and this is like a little echelon lower, but Eli Manning, kind of cut from that same Manning cloth,
yeah,
though.
I believe
they
you're
both
right.
had their father and Archie to kind of coach them along. Like, I don't know DeShone Kizer's situation right now. I don't know if he has someone coaching him. I don't know if he's got a little bird in his ear right now telling him what he should do, what he shouldn't. But this is a move where I'm not totally against him coming out and being cocky. There's a difference between being cocky and being stupid. And this statement was utterly stupid, in my opinion. You could have said it a million times better. That basically all you had to say was, if you draft me, I can be your franchise quarterback. Boom. That is crisp, clean, all you want to hear. What I hear from that is, this is a guy that believes in himself that he can get the job done. No, instead you compare yourself to the mecca of quarterback right now in Tom Brady, and then kind of throw yourself into an athletic quarterback that you kind of have the same body of. I just think I'm not against him saying something and being cocky. I'm just against of what he exactly said. That's the immaturity part. That's the part where I said, God, just think about it. Think before you say. Think.
I don't like the comment at all. Mm-hmm. I actually disagree with you in the sense of I don't want my quarterback coming out and being cocky. I want my quarterback to be confident, because when you're cocky, you sound like an idiot. When you're cocky, you're an ass. When you're cocky, you think way too highly of yourself when you're actually not that good. Now, come on. Let's just say this really quick. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. We're Chicago people. Yeah. Jay Cutler, cocky. Shouldn't be, but he's cocky. And people know that. That's not good. But you want your quarterback to be confident. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady is confident. He's not cocky. He's confident. Jay Cutler says stupid things in press conferences because he's cocky. On the other side, Tom Brady doesn't say stupid things in press conferences because he's confident, cool, calm, collected. Mm-hmm. And I will not.
It's interesting. I didn't think about that.
It's an interesting point, because that's how it is to me. That's how I see it to me. We know in our everyday lives there are people who are confident and people who are cocky. If someone walks past you or walks up to you and says something, you're cocky, what's your reaction usually going to be? Whoa, what a jackass.
What an ass.
Exactly. But someone who's confident, they know how to say it. They know how to frame it. You're like, man, they really know how to carry themselves, and they truly believe in themselves, but they're a good person. You're going to go away having two different thoughts. That is why. What is wrong with some of these young athletes these days and thinking before they even step on the frickin' field for the NFL, the MLB, anything like that, NBA, they think that they're God's gift to the earth. What is it that makes them think that? Because hard work sometimes I feel like is going out the window. But come on. Look how it used to be. Is that there wasn't all this chit chatter and stuff like that. And guess what? I love a little, jabbing and trash talk and stuff like that amongst the players, amongst each other, and on the field and on the court. But why do we need to make these public comments that make us look like idiots? It makes them look immature. That's just what it says. It says, I am DeShone Kizer, and I am 21 years old, and I just showed it.
To answer your question of why do players, why are they like this? Why do they, before they've even kind of gained anything in the NFL, they think they're God's gift to the earth, is because ever since high school, especially the quarterback position, if you are a good quarterback in high school and you're going to be A, recruited by a D1 program, and B, be the starter of that D1 program, you've probably been hearing since at least junior year of high school how great you are. Oh, look at DeShone Kizer, great. How great was he on Friday? How great. Oh, DeShone, you're so great out there. Hearing that over and over and over. Then with him, it's a little different. Gets to Notre Dame this past year, they weren't too good at all. You know better than I do, Brandon, because you were a fan of the Fighting Irish. They were not too good. So it wasn't the highlight season for DeShone Kizer. I think it goes back to what you brought up, and it's an interesting point of there is a difference between being cocky and being confident. Now, there are people in this world that can do both. They can be cocky, but then have that confidence and that skill behind them to back it up. Those people, you don't sit there and go, dude, what an ass. You go, fuck, he's good. He is good, man. You know what? I'm just going to sit here, and he is just a lot better than I am, but I don't think DeShone Kizer's that guy. And I'm going to bring back the I word, the immature word of if I'm a team, I'm looking at it and I'm going, I don't know if I want to draft him. If I'm a first round team, I ain't taking DeShone Kizer. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert here for my last mock draft that I'm going to come out with this week. DeShone Kizer's not in my first round. And Brandon, bear with me, literally, because you might hate this pick. I got him 36 to the Bears in the second round. However, I'm not even confident, the word of the day, confident in that one as well. because, yeah, it looks like a good pick, but the Bears at there could go, nah, we got Glennon. We'll look for like a Nate Peterman or whatever in the third round. We don't need a head case right now. We don't need a guy who we got to babysit behind Mike Glennon. So I'm not even confident in that pick right now. But right now, looking at my screen, I got him pegged 36th to the Bears at the beginning of the third round. I will ask you, with these comments, with what you've heard, with what you've seen with them in college, coming up into the draft, which is 2 days away as we are recording this on Tuesday, if you were an NFL team, what round would you feel comfortable drafting DeShone Kizer in?
See, here's the thing, is that, and this is why he did himself no favors. Because if he would have not said anything, not said anything at all, or just said, I'm really excited for this opportunity. I think it can really be a great asset for a team, something like that. Simple. It's simple, like what you had said before. It's something that would have been clean and everything like that, and no one thinks about it. No one talks about it. And if anything, they talk about it in a positive light. Like, wow, look at this guy. Yeah. Like, look at this guy. He knows how to carry himself, everything like that. And I think he could have been a first round talent, but I think he'll definitely be a second rounder now. And I before you take when I was looking at stuff before, and I still think that Mitchell, excuse me. I think that he's still young, and he'll still be green.
Notice we haven't heard anything
when he gets
out of him,
to the
though.
NFL, because he's going about his stuff. And I think that Deshaun Watson, he's doing the same thing. He had his little slip up in college when he's like, oh my gosh, there's so much pressure. I don't know if I can handle it, blah, blah, blah. No, don't say that. But he backed
it up by winning the national championship.
Yeah. Well, and also then winning all those games and stuff like that. And he, that was let go. So Kizer did himself no favors. But I think that you have to look then at, do you want a guy who's going to be a head case and is like expecting himself to start right away? Or do you want someone who you want to be able to work with, you want to be able to have him be able to learn and want to learn and not feel like he deserves something, but someone who really wants to earn it? And maybe you're looking somewhere else. Maybe you're looking at a Mahomes and stuff like that. Maybe he's bouncing over Kizer. That's what a lot of people are saying now. That's what a lot of people are saying right now, is that he may even drop further to be the fourth, maybe the fifth quarterback taken, when before people were talking he was going to be the second quarterback taken. Now that's ridiculous, all because of that one comment. And is it ridiculous that just because of that one comment, he's going to drop that low? Yeah, probably. But that's a big enough comment, and it's just a ridiculous enough comment that is going to happen.
Well, and not just that, like the thing that I would fear, especially in this draft class, since there's been so many questions around the quarterbacks in general, I would worry now about, oh shoot, what if a team like the Bears, like the Jets, like the Chargers, like I'm going to throw out the Saints, like the Cardinals, who are going to look in that second round and later, how many of them now go, we'll worry about quarterback next year or later. Let's go with a different position. Because, I'm going to spotlight the Bears, because that's where right now where I have DeShone Kizer in kind of like my first draft before I go through everything and add in my explanations on picks. What if the Bears look at it and go, nah, you know what? Let's grab a wide receiver. Let's grab Zay Jones. Nah, you know what? We went with safety in the first round. Let's grab a cornerback. Let's go with Adoree Jackson. Nah, you know what? We went corner in the first round. Let's go with Jabril Peppers. Let's go somewhere other than the quarterback. Because teams can do that. Teams can do that. Bears have Mike Glennon. The Jets, they can fall back on Josh McCown. I mean, it's a stopgap, but you can fall back on McCown. The Chargers still have Phillip Rivers. The Cardinals still have Carson Palmer. It's not like these teams, other than the Browns and the Niners, and I mean the Niners could really fall back on it too unless they go take Trubisky with the second overall pick like it's being rumored at this point. If they're looking for a quarterback too, they can go, nah, you know what? I like Brian Hoyer for this year. I like Sparkles Barkles right now for this year. you're not doing yourself any help in a quarterback class that people already have that big question mark on to begin with.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, is that do you think that a team, because of these comments, though, and again, there's going to be people. You're out there. You know who you are. You're typing it right now. You're furiously typing to tell us how big of idiots we are and we shouldn't take these comments to heart. Well, screw you, because you know what? This is what you're going to talk about. And honestly, a team needs to look at everything. And a team wants a player who is going to be mature. And yes, you're young. You're 21. You have a lot to learn. But you have to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself that you can be that face of the franchise one day, that you can handle the pressure, that you can do all this stuff. And you don't ever want to say something and then not live up to it. And I think that, however, though, is that a team in the position of the Cardinals, in the position of San Diego, where they're getting quarterbacks that are certainly with Carson Palmer, a little long in the tooth, and Phillip Rivers is on his way.
Yeah.
You need to be thinking, okay, he may have said this, but we need a quarterback. Or you might be thinking, can we hold out and wait till next year? But can you? But then does everything work out the way that you think it's going to for 2017? Does everyone end up being as good as we have been talking on this podcast? Does it all end up the way you want it to or it's supposed to? And that's an interesting point too.
And that's where I'll kind of end this, kind of bring it all in, because we have gone for quite some time on this, is DeShone Kizer, because of these comments, is it going to drop him out of the second round? No. I think he either goes early second or late second. At the absolute worst, if he does drop out of the second round, he's picked up at the beginning of the third round. He's not dropping past day 2, I'll put that.
No.
But I think that he goes, in my opinion, I think he'll go in the second round. Will it be early second? Maybe not. He might drop a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what happens because of, like you said, so many teams now could go, well, do we take a stab on him or do we wait till next year? And it's going to depend on what we see. And that's why I love with the draft. Depends on what we'll see in night 1, because I don't think he will get drafted on Thursday now, and how that will affect him going into night 2. But Brandon, before we move on, any final thoughts on DeShone Kizer?
I kind of feel for him, only because you look at this guy and I think that he's not a bad quarterback. I think he's a pretty strong quarterback, and I think sometimes it is rough that comments like these could affect him so much, but you have to be thinking about all those things. And you know what? It's always going to be, you're going to have an immature moment. At the age of 50, you can have an immature moment. But when you're in the spotlight like this, and in the limelight, you need to know that. And you need to know that everything you do is calculated. So you need to calculate yourself to see what the repercussions are going to be.
Well, and this is where you guys come in like we do every video. We give you our thoughts, and then we pass it on to you guys. Let us know down below, if you have not already, what you think of DeShone Kizer's comments. What does these claims and comments kind of say about his personality, and where do you think he will be drafted this year in the 2017 NFL Draft? Well, thank you guys for checking out this video from the Primetime Podcast. If you want to check out more, click right over here. The video's right over here. Check it out. Check it out.